This is about our belief in religion and our belief in science. So there's a big divide in people that are people who believe in science, people who believe in religion, people who believe in voodoo, whatever you choose to believe in. But in this episode, we're just talking about the belief in religion real quick. Number one, from research that I did, the Bible, I believe, was created in 400 BC. I believe that was when Christianity came about. And before that, it was a belief in gods. It was a belief in Zeus and all of these other things, right? And then somehow it turned into Christianity. And I believe from my research, over the centuries, I think it was 7 different versions. I believe. I'm not an expert on this, so now, if you take the worst situation that you can think of, right? If you take maybe, we'll say, if you take slavery, even back in Egypt, we'll go back that far. In my personal opinion, you have to understand that there was nothing else to believe in. So at that point in time, your mind tells you there's got to be a God. There has to be, because you have nothing else to believe in. You know, they're doing all their work, they're moving those bricks and all kinds of stuff. Even when you move up a little further to, we'll call it modern day slavery. In those situations, the only thing that they had to hold on to, in my opinion, was the belief in a higher power. Then you fast forward a little bit more. You know, people, they put their belief in God on everything. If this didn't happen, if this bullet missed me, God must have deflected it. If this happened, God must have did it. If this happened, God must have did it. If it rains, God must have let it rain. If it did this, God must have did that. I'm not saying that a higher power doesn't exist. But what I am saying is that if you look at one day, just pick a day, somebody died. Somebody died of sickness. Somebody died of devastation. Somebody died of disaster. Somebody died of famine. Somebody died of something that day. So for me, it's hard for me to believe that there is a higher power. And if there is a higher power, in the words of Neil deGrasse Tyson, he's either not all good or not all bad. But there's a disconnect in there somewhere, because if this is a God, pretty much can hold the universe in the palm of his hand like a set of marbles, it's like, how are you continuing to let all of this stuff happen? All these people die, all of this crime and everything. And it couldn't be to simply teach people a lesson. That's not something that me personally that I would go for. I'm a person who believes in science. And the reason I believe in science and not religion is because science can be proven whether you believe it or not. Religion can't be proven. Now, I'm not saying that if we find out, if in the end it comes to I'm proven wrong and there is a God, I have no problem saying I'm wrong, because I'm not saying that there isn't a God. I'm just saying I don't believe in it because everything that has happened doesn't point to a higher power. And don't get me wrong, just so you know, I'm Black. I grew up in church. My mother is an evangelist. The guys that lived across the parking lot, their father is a preacher. He had 13 kids. So don't get me wrong. It's just I got to a point in life where I just had I guess you could call it an epiphany, where I said, wait a minute, this isn't making sense anymore. And it was like, when you're around Christians or people who believe in God, they always say you will pray for this and pray for that and pray for this and pray for that. And embarrassingly, I'll say, that's what I was doing. But I want you to notice something else. When you listen to people, and I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm not saying I'm right at all. I'm not saying my way is anywhere near, something you should even follow. This is my own opinion. So when you get around people who pray all the time and they say, they want you to pray for everything, that's fine, but it immediately kind of, in my opinion, it immediately makes you mentally ill, because it makes you ignore common sense. It makes you think that if I pray to a higher power that I have no idea exists or not, then this miraculous change is going to happen. Sometimes it does happen after you pray, but there's no evidence that because you prayed, that's why it happened. There's evidence that we are made of the same ingredients that are in the universe. Everything that we're made of, you can find in the universe. Everything the earth is made of, you can find in the universe. Science is true whether you believe it or not. God isn't. And once again, I'll say, if I'm wrong, because I'm not, this is my opinion, very arguable, very arguable. Not saying religion isn't true. I'm just saying that at this point, I don't believe in religion, because I stopped being, if you look at it, the whole situation, if you strip all the things away, when you start believing that something is going to miraculously happen and you start to ignore common sense, if I walk out in front of this car, he's not going to hit me because I'm prayed up, rather than using common sense and saying, maybe I shouldn't walk out in front of this car because he's probably going to hit me. And I'm not going to depend on hope alone to think that he's just going to automatically stop and not hit me. I don't know what's going on in his mind. I don't know what he's been through today. I don't know if he's mad, angry, whatever, but I don't want to be in his path. If you ignore that, that is a symptom of mental illness. And again, I'm not a professional, but in my opinion, common sense says when you ignore regular thoughts and feelings and you depend on something that's not natural feelings and it's 100% hope, that could be a form of mental illness. And that's it. Have a good one.